So we have one lovely morning, early in the morning, or as the sun rose brightly. We'll have many different ways that you could say one morning. We came up with these. Now let's do the when phrase. Notice I'm going from left to right. Every single step is from left to right except for when I planned the sentence. So now we went from one morning, now we're going to go to in the wilderness. What's a better way to say in the wilderness? Notice how much easier it is to make a sentence more sophisticated when you isolate just these parts. So maybe out in the country, in the woods, deep in the forest. So now we have 3 different ways that we're saying in the wilderness. Remember, we're always going from left to right. Every step is left to right on the chart except for the icons when we're planning out the story. So we have our when and our where. Now we're going to go to our next parts of speech card and we have our adjectives. So we're going to ask, what kind of bunny is it? Now, so many times kids have a tough time using adjectives that make sense in a sentence. We know the bunny is eating grass and the bunny's belly is rumbling because he's hungry. So what kind of bunny would be eating grass and having a belly that is rumbling? We're going to add our adjectives now. We have what kind of bunny? A famished bunny, tiny bunny, a skinny little bunny. So now we have our when cards, our where, our adjectives. We don't need any nouns because we already know it's a bunny. But now we're going to jump to our verbs. What is the bunny doing? Now we're going to our verbs. We're going to not just add a verb, we're going to add a phrase that goes with the verb. We're going to talk about how the bunny, what did the bunny do? He ate some grass. Now notice, I'm saying this in the past tense because most stories are written in the past tense. So we want our kids to start right off in that past tense verb. Now, the bunny ate some grass. Let's go ahead and add some other words that could mean that he ate grass. Remember, we always want to put them in the past tense because most stories are written in the past tense. So we came up with dined on a breakfast of greens, nibbled on some lush grass, gobbled down some juicy grass. Again, I'm just putting those ideas underneath the verb card. We're putting a squiggly line underneath the verb so that we understand that's the verb and our predicate phrase here. We added a why card here because we wanted to make our sentence a little more sophisticated and we wanted to explain why the bunny was nibbling on grass at the beginning of our story. So, why was the bunny dining on that breakfast of greens? To quiet the deep roar of her hunger, to satisfy her hunger, to fill her empty belly. So now we've isolated that part of the sentence, came up with more sophisticated ways to say that phrase, and we're adding all those different brainstorm parts to our sticky note section. Now we have step 1, secret formula time. Step 2, parts of speech. Step 3, we have our icons in our plan a story bar. And then we have our step 4, we're going to brainstorm the different parts of the sentence. Now we're ready for step 5, move the sticky notes. This is where we're going to take all these different sticky notes that we brainstormed the different parts of the sentence on, and we're going to move them in the planning bar so that we can create different sentences about the bunny eating grass in the morning. How about we put one lovely morning, deep in the forest, a famished bunny dined on a breakfast of greens to satisfy her hunger. We have that sentence so the kids can see how, though by brainstorming the different parts of a sentence, they made an even more exciting sentence, an exciting story opening, from where they started from a simple sentence to a more exciting one. Now we can show the kids, let's make another dynamic, wonderful sentence by moving these sticky notes. How about, as the sun rose brightly, deep in the forest, a skinny little bunny gobbled down some juicy grass to quiet the deep roar of her hunger. What a great sentence. They can change all these cards. There's many different sentences that they can create. And then what I usually do is I have my class start with that one sentence, and then we work on the rest of the story. It's a great way to start your sentences. Now let's review. We had 5 steps for our sentence builder. Step 1, secret formula time. SC arrow, setting character action. Step 2, parts of speech cards. We're going to add the parts of speech that represent each part of our secret formula. Setting, when, where. Character, noun, who is in our story, person or an animal. Then we're adding an adjective because we should describe our noun. And then action. We're adding our verb card. What's our character doing at the beginning of the story? We even went back and added a why to make our opening a little bit more sophisticated to explain why they were doing this action. Next, we went to step 3 where we had our planning bar where we actually planned out the story. Remember, this was the only time we didn't move from left to right in the sentence. We used the parts of speech cards so that we could actually plan out each part of the sentence. That's why we want to use those parts of speech cards, so kids can start to chunk sentence parts to create their sentences and then lead us into step 4, which is the sticky note time, where we're actually going to use those different chunks of a sentence to brainstorm better ways to say them. And then finally we went to step 5 where we moved the sticky notes. We took a sticky note from each one of our columns to create a more sophisticated and exciting story opening sentence. This is a great way to help your kids come up with an opening sentence to their narratives that they're ready to write. If you want to learn how to write transitions in stories, check out our next video. That's what we'll be focusing on.